Welcome to the Family Corner. My name is Ben, and I'm a student orientation coordinator at the orientation program here at BSU.
And my name is Mia. I'm an orientation leader. Family Corner is a series that features staff from various departments who are excited to share their expertise and resources available to support your student. The hope is that this series will provide new insights and information so that you are better informed as you support your student's transition to college.
In today's episode, we're discussing COVID-19, and we are joined by Dr. Deniz Leuenberger. Deniz Leuenberger is the Vice President for Planning and Strategy, and we're happy to have you here with us today. Welcome.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your role here at BSU?
Sure. I'm a Vice President, but also a Chief of Staff, so I manage a lot of the planning on campus, but also work closely with emergency services, and that's why I became involved with COVID-19 and with Chris Frazier in the Wellness Center as we approached doing work together on COVID-19.
Yeah.
And can you share the university's approach to keeping all members of the campus community safe during COVID-19?
Sure. And actually I'm really excited to talk about this. From the very beginning, BSU decided that we would take a more rigorous approach to safety than was required by the larger environment, including the CDC and other guiding organizations that have been helping us. So from the beginning, we followed all the CDC guidelines, all the state guidelines, but have gone a little bit further. And actually, due to being able to follow those rules that we've had on campus and to the really amazing effort that our students put forth in following those guidelines, we have actually had a really amazing outcome on campus with less than 1% positivity rate. And I'm happy to report that we're going to be able to come back largely back to the way we were before because of all those precautions that individuals in our community took.
Yeah, I know you just kind of touched upon it a little bit, but what can we expect for on-campus safety procedures coming this fall?
So the first piece is that we are mandating that all students have vaccinations, and that actually is a game changer for us. And this is actually the same regulations across state universities. That is really important because it allows us to have an environment where some of the other CDC guidelines may not be then mandated. So for instance, if everybody in the room is vaccinated, then you don't have to wear a mask. If we're going to be able to have visitors on campus, we're going to be able to have student activities back, sports back, all of those are tied to the practices that we're looking at. So, right now, our hope is that we're going to come back as close to normal as possible. We will be doing some planning for any additional changes that might happen in the environment. So I know parents are probably worried about what happens if there are variants, etc. So we have a backup plan for all of those components. But if things go the way we plan, and probably a lot of people know, in Massachusetts we've had a really good response rate to the vaccine. The governor has done a lot of amazing work in order to get us back to what I would call the normal. But I think because of that, we're just in a really good place here at Bridgewater and in Massachusetts to be able to function very similar to what we were functioning at before.
Yeah.
Great. Yes. So what would you say the fall semester would look like, or what are the hopes that?
Sure. So I think the biggest thing is that we want to come back together again. So I'm sure all of us have missed each other. Just seeing even all of you in this room has been it's nice and refreshing to have a conversation with people outside of Zoom. So we're hoping to mostly be back in person. We have a commencement coming up at Gillette at the end of July for two classes that haven't graduated yet, and that will probably be largely there will be no mandates in terms of masking, etc., because that's not what the CDC and the states is mandating right now. And what's kind of exciting about that is we're also going to have a lot more people able to attend, right? So that theme is going to carry on into fall. How do we get more involved? How do we sort of bring back some of that energy that we had on campus, being with each other, celebrating with each other? So there may be some precautions, again, as if there are any health changes, but again, I think largely it's going to be a time of celebration, coming together, healing, and we should see a lot of opportunities for activities, clubs, meeting, etc. as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know for a lot of first-year students, coming to BSU and getting tested and stuff like that might be their first time doing something like that. why is it so important that we get the testing done, and what is it going to look like?
Sure. So right now, we're not 100% sure because we're still working on the guidelines with our team. We have a Safe Return Task Force, and we also have a COVID-19 task force that goes through all the policies and decision-making around testing. But it is possible that largely testing will be for symptomatic individuals. So if you present symptoms that are similar to flu, we might ask that those individuals test. We're not likely to have the same rigorous testing process that we had before, although that could change, if any of the environment changes, because again, a large part of our community is vaccinated. So, that changes again everything, because people who are vaccinated don't have the same quarantine and isolation rules, and they don't have the same rules and policies around testing either.
Yes, thank you, exactly. So can you tell us why it's important for students to be fully vaccinated before their arrival to campus?
Sure, and as I mentioned, it's a game changer for us to have the vaccine. I know it was a short time for that vaccine to be developed, but it seemed like a long time for us. It's been a real reward for us to have that on campus. One of the things that it does is that it allows us to reduce the amount of contagion on campus, probably to close to zero. There are a few people on campus for a variety of reasons who are not able to take the vaccine, and those are individuals who have religious or health exemptions. So it helps protect them, it helps protect our community. But the biggest thing for us personally, I think for our experience, is going to be that we're going to largely be able to do things the way we've done them in the past, and wait for a booster for any changes, etc. But I think the vaccine is really important because it allows us to function similar to how we functioned before COVID.
Absolutely. So I know that some students contracting COVID-19 on campus, they get placed into quarantine housing. Can you talk a little bit about how BSU supports those students as they go through the quarantine process?
Sure. So coming into fall, we're largely not going to have quarantine because, again, people who are vaccinated are not necessarily in need of quarantine. We'll probably have a little bit of space for that just because we do have some folks who are unable to get vaccinated. Again, it's a very small number. But when we have had quarantine on campus, it's actually been a tremendous effort by our student affairs community. So they were provided with health care through the Wellness Center. They were provided with food and nourishment and check-ins by that community. And that was throughout the entire year. One of the things that I found to be really amazing, the people who were administering tests on campus and the people who were taking care of our people in quarantine and isolation, they didn't necessarily know what the outcomes of the COVID virus was going to be. And they volunteered to take on those positions and really did a great job in caring for our students' needs. One thing that was really, I think, a special piece was that in December, there were also care packages created for people in COVID by members of our community, including from our foundation. And I think that was helpful. But I think, again, the most important piece is that we did all the testing for them on campus to bring them back. And we monitored their health and helped them communicate with their families to make sure they were doing as well as possible.
Yeah.
And what advice would you give to new students or new families coming to BSU?
Well, I think be ready for a lot of celebration and cheer. I think we want to come back to an environment that is ready to focus on education, ready to focus on being with each other in other types of learning that are not necessarily always in the classroom, including clubs and other learning components. But the classroom is going to be re-energized as well. So we have both a mix of online and in-person classes. We always have, and but it's going to be nice to have some of those activities back. And for parents, I think. I'm a parent of a graduate, a recent graduate of BSU, and I think one of the things that is really important is that we're going to take care of your student. And they're going to help us take care of each other. And that's been a model here on campus this entire year, is we have seen students care for each other, follow safety protocols, And it's been really an amazing environment to see people really step up in terms of caring for each other and protecting each other. So I think that's what we'll expect again this year, but with a lot more joy because we'll be a little bit back to the way we were before.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Denise, for your perspective on COVID-19 and the campus experience. I'm sure there is much excitement about the fall semester and how the school will continue to adapt with consideration of the COVID-19 and supporting students.
Thank you for viewing today's episode of Family Corner focused on COVID-19. Be sure to catch up on our other episodes as well as visiting the BSU Family Hub website, where we'll sit down and talk with other campus partners about the student experience here, just like today. We look forward to seeing you soon. Bye-bye for now.